With a pickle mind, we kick the nipple beer. Steady as a goat, we're flying over trout. Ghetto down the highway at the speed of light. All I wanna feel now is the wind in my eyes. Sack of monkeys in my pocket. My sister's ready to go. Hear the engines roll now. Idiot control now. Hideous control now. Nitty on the road now. Idiot control. Wheels on fire. Burning rubber tires.
Hello and welcome to the MSTieCast. I am Toby Mobius.
I'm Joshua M.
And Mike Hagan is not here tonight. He will not be joining us. He's busy.
He's rehearsing for Star Crasher, or one of his MFTs, I think.
Number 4, I believe. I can't remember the name of the...
Star Crashers was his third one. I can't remember the fourth one.
It's some really cheesy 80s movie, I believe.
I know it has time travel in it because he mentioned it on the last one.
Right. But in his absence, we decided that since we have a new crew, a new cast, it'd be fitting to review Season 8 of Mystery Science Theater.
And just so I can say, I've only received 40 pieces of hate mail since joining the cast, so that's been really nice.
I got 80, so, you're ahead of the curve.
Oh, wow. And you didn't even join the new cast. You were already there.
Yeah. I mean, I get 80 per episode.
Oh. So 80 times 5 plus my 40.
I don't know
that equals a lot.
I don't know how much Josh and Dane got. I mean, Josh Hadley got when he did the show, but I bet you anything it was a lot.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to brag, though. But yes, Season 8 of Mystery Science Theater. Very, very interesting season. Very experimental, I think, is the best word for it.
Well, and it was interesting because I've had this theory for a long time, which is it was transition from 7 to 8, and I've always had this theory that most television shows, they go 7 seasons, and you have to do one of two things. You either have to stop after 7, or you have to make a really big change, which I guess thankfully made a big change. I don't know if it would have made that change if Trace hadn't left, but yeah, I do think that it kept the show fresh. I think that if they had continued, I don't know if it would have been as good, but it was right. It came at a good time.
Yeah, I think the storyline was or the change in premise was very good for the series. It lent itself to a lot more development of already fixated ideas. Mm-hmm. Like Pearl, Pearl's development. Yeah.
But the question is, what percentage of that was them wanting to develop it, and what percentage of that was Sci-Fi Channel have to have a story arc going through your show?
Yeah, well, Season 9 didn't really have a story, so...
No. Well, 10 kind of had one, but...
Sort of, but it was dropped by mid-season.
Yeah. I think it was good that they finally picked the set location for 9. I think they were supposedly they were torturing the crew that was making their sets.
Right.
Even, not Jeff, he would have left, but they were like, can you make a Roman set in a week? Which, if you've ever made a set, it's really difficult, let alone to make a brand new set every other week.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry for the set department at Best Friends at that time.
Yeah. And it was only 2 people. So
yeah. 2 people and the interns.
Yeah. Well, we obviously have to address the departure of Trace.
Right. 706 Laser Blast, the final Comedy Central episode.
Yeah. Although I think he was leaving regardless of whether or not they got picked up at Sci-Fi or not.
Yeah, he was leaving regardless. That's the ending. And from what I've gathered, the reason they got rid of the entire cast is they were debating if they wanted to start fresh on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
Completely different cast, not just different Mads. Which would have been,
they made that.
that would have been really interesting if they had done that.
It would, which I guess Mike is doing that with his show.
Right.
So I guess we'll have to see. But I know that at one point they were considering just building a new Crow which would have been interesting. Building like a new robot entirely.
Right.
Rather than just continue with Crow.
That said, I don't think a lot of the fans would have gone for it.
No. I think that would have angered people way more than just having a different person play Crow.
Right. I mean, a new human is one thing because they did that before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but completely new robots.
No. Yeah, that would not have worked. I don't see it working.
But it just would have been an interesting what could have been. But
yeah,
706 Laser Blast, which is, by the way, one of my favorite episodes, just because the movie is bad.
It's in my top 5.
It's such a silly movie too, with the stop motion aliens and the Star Wars air quotes billboard.
Yeah, for a long time there was a rumor that Mark Hamill was in Laser Blast.
Yeah,
which I guess has been disproven.
Not even Mark Hamill would have appeared in that movie. That's saying something.
He was too busy filming Corvette Summer.
Mark Hamill's a guy who will appear in a movie for lunch and a pack of cigarettes.
As long as you don't make him play Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean, you can give him a lightsaber as long as he's not Luke Skywalker. Kevin Smith. That's it.
Which Kevin Smith was that?
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. He plays the villain in Blunt Man and Chronic. He's basically like a mixture of the Joker and a Jedi with a bong saber.
I can't sit through Kevin Smith.
I like most of his movies, but he really did irritate me and a lot of other people recently. So
the
whole girls don't read comic books thing, which, considering he named his daughter Harley Quinn,
I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, on his show Comic Book Men, he said girls don't read comic books. There's barely any female demographic of comic readers. To which Gail Simone and a bunch of other female comic writers went, "Yo." And it made a lot of people started boycotting his show, and which is sad because his show really wasn't that bad. I enjoy his show Comic Book Men. But I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm irked at him at the moment.
Yeah, I didn't like him when he went ballistic at the whole airplane situation.
Airplane situation.
I think he just where he was on the airplane and they kicked him and they kicked him off because he was too big.
Oh yeah.
Seats. That's just me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sometimes people's actions ruin their work.
Yeah. So Laser Blast.
Yes, this is not the Kevin Smith podcast. What are we doing? Yes, Laser Blast, which, by the way, I thought both the episode and the movie had very interesting premises, and the episode itself carried it off a lot better. Its premise of going away from Earth. And Mike becoming Captain Janeway for some reason.
I remember I showed that the thing about Laser Blast is I showed that episode to my best friend and he fell asleep during it. I showed it to my dad, he fell asleep during it. I showed my theater teacher and he fell asleep during it. So it's always been one of my favorites. For some reason it seems to put a lot of people to sleep, I guess.
The middle of the movie is very kind of dreary until the explosions kick in.
Yeah.
I guess that was the reason for all the explosions. They had to wake up the audience.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the episode. You know, if only for Eddie Deason getting blown up.
Yeah. I think we all want to see.
Eddie Deason. Yeah, I only like Eddie Deason as a Mandark, and that's about it.
I liked him as Guy Board. He was good as that.
Yeah.
Not well. Peach, he's good. What else was he in?
Not much. I mean, he's in a lot of stuff, but he,
Not much where he had a prominent role.
Yeah, he usually just does, like, background voices for cartoons now. But the episode storyline itself, that's an episode where the host segments are probably better than the movie. Like,
I agree with that.
Just the host segments are so fun. The whole thing with the satellite played by Jim Mallon.
Mm-hmm. Monad.
No, Monad. Yes, I liked him whenever Jim Mallon showed up because his characters were always great. He needed to do it more.
Yeah.
Oh, Eddie Deason was in Grease.
He was in Grease 2, I think.
He was in Grease. He was in Grease 1. Huh.
He was in Grease 1?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was the nerdy kid in both films. Weird. I did not know he was in that.
He was supposed to play Eagle Bauer in Rock and Roll. He was too busy filming 1941.
He was on Punky Brewster. Interesting.
Oh, didn't know that.
But yeah, the host segment of 706, I enjoyed all of them, especially the what is it, third 2001: A Space Odyssey reference of the series.
Yeah. Okay, so appropriate is it that they end with a I guess they were to some extent ending with a 2001 reference.
Right. It was just such a weird moment of the series. It was definitely a head tilting moment.
Yeah, it was kind of it would have been weird if that had been the end.
Yeah.
It would have been.
If that was the end, I think I would have been disappointed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I probably would have been disappointed too.
I mean, great, good on you for doing the reference, guys, but that's not really a satisfying ending.
Yeah, it didn't give closure, like Diabolic did.
Right. Diabolic is also on my top 5 of episodes. Just I loved it so much. The riffs are great. The host segments are brilliant.
Yeah. I liked the riff. I can't say it's in my top 5. Probably my top 30. Wow, that sounds really insulting.
When you have so many episodes, I think it's fair to make it top 30.
170 to choose from. Yeah, it's difficult. But yeah, I definitely liked some guy. Jokes. Just totally making fun of making fun of the fact that Diabolic was supposed to be the hero.
Gonna go to the store, da-na-na-na-na-na, I'm gonna pick up some bread, da-na-na-na-na-na, gonna go to the post office. Gonna practice my lick, da-na-na-na-na-na, only 1 hour more, da-na-na-na.
I just love all the...
I need to get that for like a ringtone or something.
Yeah. Surely Diabolic has done all...
By the way, the Diabolic comics are a lot better than the movie.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
If you ever get to read them, they're so much better.
Are they in English? Is there an English translation out there?
The comics have something the film doesn't, and that's character development. But back to Laser Blast. It just has... The host segments are probably some of the goofiest ones they've ever done.
Yeah.
And that's not really a light statement.
They did some goofy ones in season 8.
Yeah, but there's never been so much concentrated goofy. Like, Mike becomes Captain Janeway.
Yeah.
And they have to go change giant baby diapers in space.
Mm-hmm. And Beyond Thunderdome.
Of course. For some reason, no one can get Beyond Thunderdome. I don't understand why.
Have to make sure they mention a Thunderdome.
Yeah.
But of course, if they mention the movie Beyond Thunderdome, it doesn't work.
Right.
So
And
we end.
And of course, becoming energy and playing at the end of the universe until Crow gets bored 5 minutes in.
Yeah. Which explains how Crow completely changes his voice. But I guess if you live 500 years, your voice would change.
Well, I mean, Joel said he just changed his bowling pin, so apparently that's how that works.
Yeah.
Which segues into Season 8.
Season 8 opener.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, neither of us were live for the sci-fi premiere, so I don't know what the reaction of the fans was when they first saw it. I imagine it was kind of weirded out to some extent.
The only thing for 801 Revenge of the Creature, the only thing I thought was kind of dumb was the opening theme song. And throughout the whole episode, you're wondering who the lawgiver is, but if you watch the theme song, it's Pearl. You know it's Pearl.
Yeah.
It gives away the joke, and that's... I don't know if they did that during the premiere airing, but every tape of it I've come across, it gives it away. I don't know.
Yeah, I think from what I've gathered or what I've heard is that people were really upset because Pearl's chasing Mike around throughout space, but for the first 4 or 5 episodes, she's not doing that. Mike is they're in Deep Abe. So,
well, it is Abe Law.
And we get to our second parody of Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
And Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
I've never been a big Planet of the Apes fan, so I didn't find Deep Ape as funny as I'm sure a lot of people did. It's not that I don't like Bobo, although I liked him better at the beginning of Season 8 than I did towards the end.
You liked him when he was smarter?
Yes, I liked him when he was a character and not Kevin Murphy wearing a gorilla suit.
Yeah. Well, he did become stupider and maybe it was just character choice, but he did become stupider and stupider and stupider as the show.
Maybe he only felt smart because he had subordinates.
Yeah.
Could be.
Could be. Because you had Peanut, who was even stupider.
So it made him feel smart by comparison. But yeah, the first few episodes of Season 8, excuse me, first few episodes of Season 8, I really enjoyed. My favorite still probably of the first half of Season 8, still probably Revenge of the Creature, just because I saw the movie when I was a kid, I really liked it, and I saw the Mystery Science Theater version, and I loved it.
Yeah. And the good thing about that season is they were doing a lot of movies that they never could have gotten on Comedy Central. They never could have gotten Revenge of the Creature. They never could have gotten I Was a Teenage Werewolf. They never Thing That Couldn't Die.
Leech Woman.
Yeah. Albeit by the end of by like what was it, like 7 episodes in, people are getting sick of those movies.
Right. And as I said, season 8 is very charitably described as experimental.
It was.
A lot of people didn't like the storyline. I personally did. I thought it was interesting.
I know Josh Hadley on another one said he didn't care for it.
Yeah. I find that a lot of people don't, but they've warmed up to it more since.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to remember, like, I didn't watch them in chronological order.
Right.
As I'm sure most fans did. I watched, like 3 Joel episodes, and then I was hit in the face with Hamlet. So for me, it wasn't as weird because it was like you're 4 episodes in. It's not that big a shift. But I'm sure if you had, 120 episodes of one thing, and you kind of get it tweaked or changed a little bit, you're kind of going to be weirded out.
Right. And that's a very legitimate point, but at the same time, there are people who like us kind of skipped around, but they still didn't really care for the storyline. They just wanted
Right.
the riffing in the regular host segments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I enjoyed it because it let the host segments go to completely different places.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really like the episode where I think they hit it like a time warp and they go to a woods and Mike becomes a puppet.
That's Prince of Space.
Prince of Space, right? That's an episode I still haven't seen all the way through just because I can't get through the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can never get through the movie. And I can get through Hamlet, so I don't know what the problem is.
It's one of my I think it's one of the funniest ones they ever did, but in a different strokes.
And I'm sure it is, but I guess I can't get through the first. It's like the first 30 minutes of it that just causes me to lose interest.
With the kids and the.
Yeah. It's Kenny Gamera syndrome.
Although nobody in this movie is named. It amazes me how everybody thinks all those kids were named Kenny. I think only two, like even including like Gamera and Godzilla, I think only 2 of those movies actually featured a character named. But Kenny has become like the mainstay of all those films. Oddly
Right,
enough.
you are, Ken. I think that's what happened to that kid. I think he became Kenny Blankenship from.
He became Kenny Blankenship
From MXC.
Yeah.
Which would explain a lot, actually.
Yeah.
But stuff from the storyline was, if you weren't familiar with the storyline, listeners, Deep Ape, they're on the planet of the apes. Mike blows it up. They hurtle through space, chased by Pearl and Bobo. And if I remember correctly, then they go to the Observer planet for 3-4
The Observer
episodes.
Planet, which is I think 4, which is a parody of that Star Trek episode, where the pilot for Star Trek, I think, isn't it?
I believe so, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I perused Tom's Temple. I really should try it again because when I was in computer class in high school, I would pretty much go there every day and just read the history because I usually got the assignment done in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. Tom has his site's amazing, and
he's
collected things. He's collected things that I don't think anybody else has.
Right, like the foosball table, the Mads Hughes with the little Forrester and Frank. He has one of Mike's jumpsuits.
I still wish I had the Ethan Allen. He has the Ethan Allen Ouija board, which is insane. Yeah, it's a parody of that Star Trek episode. I think the pilot that Gene Roddenberry wrote that was later. They didn't use that pilot, but then they edited it and put it in when they were running short on episodes.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I just can't remember the name of it.
Some Star Trek fan is listening to this, and he is so angry and furious
right now. Yeah. And then we're going to get a bunch of angry comments on Tumblr.
Yeah. Oh well, just goes into our hate mail.
And that, in turn, gets us more listens, so...
Yep.
Not seeing a downside here.
Yeah. Just lie. Just say how much we hate Mystery Science. That'll get us views. I mean, it'll get us our name scarred, and it'll get us death threats, but hey.
Yeah.
Good with that.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, they go to the Observer planet.
We go back to Observer, and we also get the other thing, which is Mike becomes Destroyer of Worlds.
Yes, Mike Nelson, Destroyer of Worlds.
And that was not thing. But it did come into play in Agent from Harm. But so he destroys Observer's planet, and then they head off to the campground planet in Teenage Werewolf.
And we get our third. And then I think it's when they get caught in the time warp.
Well, there's a little bit more before that. They get caught. They get on the camp planet, and they get caught they're in an alien parody, where where Pearl shuts down like the security system or something, the backup generator of the system. So now the satellite's running on like a battery, and it's leaving them. So they get attacked by like an alien. And the only way that they can get rid of the alien is to turn Mike into the most disgusting thing on the planet, which is, of course, Adam Duritz, lead singer of Counting Crows.
Yeah.
And then in Giant Spider we have the Invasion of the Body Snatchers parody.
Well, we have that, and Packers, woo!
Packers! I'm not even from Wisconsin. Any excuse you can give me to yell Packers, I'll take it.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. It's like anytime they play, just scream Packers. Like even in your regular sentences, like, hey, did you see the Packers?
I'm so glad I turned down my volume.
Yeah. You made a wise decision. I hope the people listening at home turn down their volume.
Turn down your volume where applicable.
Well, after... Go ahead.
No, I was just laughing. Go ahead.
Okay. After the invasion of the Body Snatchers, then we have Clonus and Incredibly Strange Creatures, which both have the Evil Space Children sketches, which are still to my day probably the highlight of season 8. Or are those sketches?
The Space Children are it's just great.
I just love the line that I repeat this day, which is they're playing Candyland and they're telling Brain Guy he's in the I think it's Chocolate Lake, and Brain Guy says, "Fine, I'm in the Chocolate Lake, my own personal hell." It's a line that I still repeat to this day. But yeah, and the Sesame Street parody I think is the funniest sketch they did that entire season.
Yeah, I really need to go watch that again, because it's been a while since I watched that episode.
It's Clonus, yeah. It's a good episode. It's in the top, it's in my top tier, but I'm sure
it's not even that bad of a movie, really. I mean, I like it better than The Island.
Yeah.
Then again, I don't like Michael Bay.
I never saw The Island. I don't think I've ever seen a Michael Bay film.
You lucky, lucky man.
You know you're a great director when you absolutely have to depend on 3D technology to make your movies watchable.
You know, it's funny. If he were given the reins to Independence Day 2, I wouldn't mind that. Because he is all about the Star-Spangled Explosions.
Yep.
But he's not. He's doing Transformers 4 instead. Yeah.
A whole new cast and a whole new way to make me cry. Good night.
Well, at least we have no
Taking
more Optimus!
Yeah.
I remember a time when I didn't want to strangle Shia LaBeouf.
Now they're... Yeah. What was he on before he did Transformers?
He was in Holes, which is still one of my favorite Disney movies ever.
It's a good movie.
He did a bunch of TV movies. He was on Even Stevens on the Disney Channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was good. And then he was in the remake of Rear Window.
Yeah, Disturbia.
Oh, they didn't call it Rear Window. They called it something else.
Disturbia.
Yeah,
and some movie called Eagle Eye, which wasn't very good. And of course, Indiana Jones.
I don't remember what it's about. Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Mutt Williams
plays Indy's son.
I didn't think anyone could be more annoying than Short Round. I was wrong.
Thank you, Spielberg, for disproving us again. Although I liked Temple of Doom.
I like Temple of Doom.
I know everyone else.
Short Round isn't even as annoying to me as people say he is, although he is probably the most annoying character in the franchise.
Agreed.
Until Williams. But I digress.
So, after Evil Space Children, we get to Mike Nelson, Destroyer of Worlds, and then after that we get to Traveling Through Time.
The Roman era.
And then we get to Roman era,
which
I think was an attempt to. Although
I always liked to see Bridget Nelson as an on-screen character because she's just a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. She was great as Mr. B and as Nuvina. She
and
was
Amazon
Mr.
Mom.
Amazon Mom. Oh yeah.
And I think she was the magic voice like twice.
Oh, and the neighbors from Deep 13
Right.
in Sword and the Dragon, which was always nice. Oh, and and Kenny.
Yeah.
But you do get kind of a set location for that, which I guess was nice for the set people because they didn't have to kill themselves on a weekly basis.
Right. Although, as soon as it was over, tear it down.
Tear it down. Although, no, I think they reused it for one of the sketches in... I think they used it as the set for Public Pearl television in Overdrive.
Right. Yeah. So I guess they did keep a lot of these up. As long as they could, which makes sense. And after Roman times... I think that was the end of the season.
We get Public Pearl, and then we get they go back into the wormhole in Time Chasers. We get Public Pearl and Overdrawn, and then I think they get back in the wormhole and back in Modern Times for 901.
All right. Because I haven't seen a lot of season 8. I know the storyline, and I've seen most of the sketches, but I haven't seen most of the Rift movies. I really need to, because I enjoyed what I saw.
I haven't seen a lot of the Universal 9. Other than that, I've seen most of those. I've seen
most of 9 and 10. I own most of 10.
I think I've seen all of 10 except for It Lives by Night.
I don't think I've seen that one either. I remember watching Hamlet just the other day.
How did you like it?
I really enjoy the Hamlet episode, just because as a drama student, I'm very familiar with Hamlet. So I enjoyed the riffing of it. Especially because my English teacher showed Hamlet in class, the Hamlet riff in class.
Lucky.
Yeah.
I tried to get my English teacher to do that, and he wouldn't go for it.
The students were just sort of like lukewarm to it, but I was pleased.
Although we got to do Future War in my class, so all is well.
But now that we've discussed the storyline,
yeah,
I think one of the most important elements is our thoughts on the change of cast. And the big one, Trace as Dr. Forrester versus Mary Jo as Pearl.
Well, yeah. Well, you had a hard move because you were going to have to replace Trace no matter what, and it really was like, what are you going to do? Dr. Forrester is the one giving them these movies. So how do you write around that? And they kind of figured a way around it with Pearl Forrester, although, she really wasn't the same character she was in season 7.
Right. I mean, there is kind of an explanation. She was frozen and then unfrozen in the far future, where she pretty much rules over the apes.
Right.
So she became a lot more power hungry than she was. So there is sort of an explanation there. It's just kind of an odd one. But then again, this is Mystery Science Theater.
We should just sit back and relax.
Really should. But we can't.
Yep. We get our fandom.
But you're very right. They had to rewrite that no matter what, especially because it was Dr. Forrester's experiment.
Yeah.
It was his drive that kept this going. Yeah. Drive and funding.
But I think it got back on track in season 9, where we kind of had I believed it a little bit more in season 9 that there was a reason for her showing these movies. Because for season 8, I really don't have an explanation as to why she's showing Mike and the bots the movies, and I don't think.
Well, her explanation is it's revenge for Clayton or something, even though she killed him.
Yeah.
She's crazy.
It makes about as much sense as anything else.
It really does make about as much sense as having perfect gravity on a satellite in outer space, or why it's shaped like a bone.
Why everything was shaped like, because she had the bone in her hair.
Right.
Like Sideshow Mel. But it did kind of, it made more sense when it was Dr. Forrester giving these movies and kind of having the experiment made sense.
With Pearl, it was just because, well, someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
And plus, it was Ape Law at the beginning of season 8.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, they had to. The apes had to. I still don't know if I buy the whole reason why Pearl felt she had to do it, but whatever.
I think it's just because she'd like to see them suffer.
Yeah.
That's really just the base reasoning.
Mm-hmm. They kind of had a reason in Overdrawn. They need to show this TV movie to get funding for Pearl's, so that Pearl could send them more bad movies. So,
and in the trial, I believe he's released to her custody, and that's like his punishment. Yeah. So.
Okay, I never saw it. It's an Agent from Harm, I know that, but I never saw it.
I believe that was the explanation. He was released to Pearl's custody, and him watching the movies was his punishment.
Okay.
So.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, it makes about as much sense as sending someone up there in the first place.
Yeah. Spending millions of dollars to keep them alive, only to end up forcing. We should just relax.
Saying it cost a lot of money to send Joel up there the first time. Why didn't he just chain him to a basement?
Yeah. I guess they needed to simulate real life. They needed just to have some kind of real life simulation to in order. Because I guess if you just chain someone in the basement, you may as well just chain them in the basement. Why bother showing them movies?
Yeah. Good point. Well, and plus, when you really think about it, life wasn't really that bad on the Satellite of Love. They had a jacuzzi, replicators.
Highlight court.
Truly,
there is.
It was a paradise.
There is one big thing that kind of irked me about the whole season 8, where, like in Time Chasers and Terror from the Year 5000, where they have a time machine. But I guess can take them to Earth because Crow goes back to Earth. So why don't they all just hop in the time machine, go back like 5 minutes to Wisconsin or something, and just hang out there?
Well, because forever. I'm pretty sure it can only carry robots. It won't transport a human. I think that was the reasoning. It would have killed Mike.
Okay. Again, why doesn't Crow just go back 5 minutes? Or Crow go back like 10 years? I get that. He did that and went back, told Mike not to take the temp jobs, and he died.
Yep, and he was replaced by Eddie.
Eddie, the older, abusive, chain-smoking brother.
Yeah, which, I wonder what happened to Joel in this alternate timeline?
What happened to Joel in the alternate timeline? He got back to Australia. He spent 10 years.
Well, that was in the main timeline, but I want to know if we're going by Star Trek rules and it changed the entire thing.
So, okay. So let's take it from he gets back to Australia, gets a job working with Man or Astro Man, gets a job at the Hot Shack, makes enough money to go back up to try to save Mike. He gets up there and nothing's up there. There's no more satellite. Go from there. What does Joel do after that? Does he spend the rest of his time flying Satellite of Love? Does he just give up? Does he just...
That's a very good question. And also, I meant to ask, what became of Joel in the Mirror universe?
We don't get Joel in Mirror.
Well, I mean, did Mike kill Joel to become the
Oh.
Peter?
Well, by that,
Oh.
by logic, Joel would have been evil in Mirror Universe because he was
Well,
nice.
exactly.
Oh, yeah, I guess that. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
You die and we all move up in rank.
Sure.
See, we've just pleased the Star Trek fan who got mad earlier.
Yay. Although he probably came up with an explanation that made way more sense than ours.
Yeah.
It's even more angrier.
Questions, comments, email us at MSTieCast@yahoo.com.
Yes.
And you
Or
can
you can
totally do that.
SBR.
That is a real email address.
Yeah. Although I emailed it once and I never got a reply. That made me sad.
I didn't see one. It was probably in the spam folder. I'll have to check that.
Okay.
But yeah, back. We really got off topic.
Yeah. What else? Well, okay. Well, I mean, still, it's better than last week's show where we went on. I think we went for 40 minutes without saying anything relating to.
Well, that's because we didn't
science.
really have a topic,
Yeah.
so there was nowhere to go off topic from.
So we talked about the replacement of Dr. Forrester. What else do we need to talk about?
I think the other one is Crow, the handoff from Trace to Bill.
Okay. Well, again, we know Crow. I mean, the explanation we always got is Crow had that seizure that made him kind of
Stiff
broad.
and slightly effeminate and New Yorkerish.
Yeah, but he was like that for. I think he was like that a lot more than people remember him being. I think he was like that, like maybe giant spider invasion.
Right.
And I think that was when he got the hang of it. But yeah, again, it's not an easy job to replace someone like that. So I think Bill did a good job.
Yeah, considering the shoes he had to fill, I think Bill did very, very well.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I think of Crow, I usually think of Bill's Crow because that was the first one I saw. Mike was the first. The season. I think one of the first episodes I saw was Werewolf. So that's like what stuck in my head. Is his Crow.
So, yeah.
That said, I do
know.
prefer the Joel era episodes more, but that's my Crow.
I always thought it was weird that you had never had Joel and Bill riffing something. But yeah, I wouldn't say that one person was Crow and one person was the Crow. But I associate both Trace and Bill as Crow. I associate both Bill and Mike as the hosts. Servo.
When I think of Crow, I think of a moment from the sci-fi era. Like it's probably from Werewolf where Mike's becoming the Werecrow.
Yes, Werecrow.
And there's that whole exchange. You look exactly like me, and I'm perfectly okay with this. Yes, that's exactly what I think.
My favorite joke from that one is who did you get to star in your werewolf movie? Who did you get to star in your werewolf
Chip
movie?
Hitler.
My friend loved that. My friend loved Chip Hitler. I still love the line. I couldn't come up with anything. All I could come up with was Ray Liotta. Really?
Oh,
Ray
he smells
Liotta?
like apples.
Not like Ray Liotta's brother.
Oh, man,
By the way, from now on, we now legally have to refer to Martin Sheen's brother Joe Estevez as, quote, Martin Sheen's brother Joe Estevez. It's like in his contract from now on.
Yeah. There's like a Twitter account called Not Joe Estevez.
Yep.
It's like, you may remember when I didn't play a character in Werewolf. When I was not the villain in Soul Taker.
Mr. Estevez, you're wanted on the set of Werewolf.
Hi, I'm a tree. Just wanted to put in a word for nature.
Okay, so I've said Laser Blast. I've said what were the other ones I said? I said Laser Blast, Warrior of the Lost World, Soul Taker is also in my top 5.
Soul
So I have
Taker
two.
is honestly Soul Taker probably my number one. Just
It's
for
up there.
the Mike Joel meeting.
Oh yeah, like that. It was like that was okay. Like that was good that they did that. Add on to that the great riff, like that puts it over the edge in my
Right.
opinion.
The host segments were great.
Like if they had,
And of course,
yeah.
Frank and Pearl. I don't believe it. This gordita is delicious.
Ooh, Frank. My favorite thing from that is hey, look, it's our fourth president. It's our which president? Eighth president, Martin Van Buren. Like
He's probably just saying,
he would
hi,
and if
I'm
he-
Martin Van Buren.
Yeah, top two, five. So I have two positions left that I guess I'll reveal at some point in my top five.
I
That should be our
wanted to...
position.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that should be another topic. Is what are our top five?
That would be a good
Top
topic
10.
for an episode when Mike is here.
What were we gonna say?
I was gonna say I was thinking about discussing Frank, Bobo, and Brain Guy, but really there just is no comparison. I think they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Well, and again, you had those 6 or 7 episodes without Frank, so to say like it was a transit, like we were already kind of used to not having Frank, and in an odd way, Dr. Forster kind of became Frank,
Right.
which I know that irked a lot. I know that irked a lot of fans.
That was pretty weak.
Yeah.
It was basically a completely different character that Trace was playing at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of many people that were fans of those segments. I mean, there were some good segments, but I don't know if anybody was a fan of that.
Yeah, I can't.
Story arc.
I'm sure it has fans. I honestly can't name any off the top of my head. Because people like that kind of humor where the villain is being imposed by someone else. It's not really my cup of tea, but I'm sure people do like it. But yeah, Frank and Bobo and Brent, like I said, two sides of the coin. Frank is pretty much a one-man comedy act. He can pretty much make any sketch work, I think. Just in his demeanor, he's just great.
And I will say, I think losing Frank was a bigger loss than losing like maybe not losing like Trace, but it was a big loss with Frank, him leaving, because his character was beloved by people. I can't think of people that did not like TV's Frank.
I'm surprised he didn't go out with the Frank song, the "Let Me Be Frank About Frank."
Yeah. Well, I guess they didn't want to repeat it, but they did go out with "Who Will I Kill," or "Whom Shall I Kill," which was loving and touching.
Yeah,
it's always weird to write it. It's definitely difficult to song it as both funny and somewhat touching. So I give them credit for those songs.
And on the other side, you have Bobo and Brenga, which are more of a double act, like onto themselves.
Mm-hmm. And you really had some interesting. You didn't really get them by themselves until they did. I think Jack Frost, where Pearl does something else, and then you get the two of them kind of isolated, trying to get along and discussing what are good movies that have apes in them.
Right.
Which you end up with any which way you can and any which way moves. I can't remember which one was the better one, but they both have monkeys in them.
And by the way, while
yeah, they.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, they were interesting double act. It was sort of like it was a good contrast to have somebody really really smart and somebody really really stupid.
Who got progressively stupid.
Got progressively stupider and stupider and stupider as that season went on. Well, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that, for the record, Observer was probably my favorite of the season 8, 10 Mads. Just his sarcasm, his dryness was just, it was refreshing from the goofier Bobo.
Yeah.
That's not to say I didn't enjoy Bobo,
And
I
he
just
was
preferred Observer.
Yeah, he was very Igorish or Igorish, only smart. He was like a really smart version of Igor from Frankenstein.
Well,
The movie Frankenstein.
I guess the Bela Lugosi Igor from Son of Frankenstein, without the heavy accent, of course.
Which, if you've ever read Frankenstein, there is no Igor.
There is no Igor. Which, in fairness, there isn't an Igor in Frankenstein, but he does have a hunchbacked assistant. So, you know, it's confusing.
What other season 8? Because I know there was more you had in mind.
The only other thing I really had to bring up was just the episode quality throughout the season, which
I think it's some. Go ahead. I think it's some of their funniest stuff.
Yeah, me too. It's just the amount of classic movies, plus the movies that aren't too bad. They're actually watchable on their own. They're just enhanced. Stuff like Overdrawn to Memory Bank, which I actually rather liked. You know,
I liked it, and
I'll watch anything with
really
Roll in it.
I liked it, and everyone was sort of screaming. I remember suggesting this, like, "Oh, I wish they'd done more videotape movie, because Overdrawn to Memory Bank was shot on videotape,
Right.
which is why it has that really weird feel." And they didn't do a whole lot of movies like that. I remember saying, "Oh, I wish they'd done more of that," and I got like hate mail, like, no videotape movies, giant bug movies. I'm like, didn't they do 4 or 5 of those?
Yeah, it would have been interesting to do more shot on home video movies.
Videotape.
Because there's a bunch of them. The Cinema Snob and Lankara did one called Bimbos BC, which somehow got a release. I don't know how. It was pretty bad.
I don't think I want that.
I recommend. But before that, I'd watched the Lankara did a review of the comic adaptation called Bimbos in Time. So, which the creator outright stated he wanted to be the worst comic book ever made. And I'm pretty sure he succeeded.
So, okay, what would you say are like the top 3 of season 8? Top 3 shows of season 8.
Top 3 episodes of season 8. I would probably, in order, number 3, Revenge of the Creature. Number 2.
So if you want to.
I don't know. Actually, no. Number 3 would probably be Agent from Harm, which I haven't watched in a long time, but I did really enjoy it. Number 2, Revenge of the Creature. Number 3, or number 1, excuse me. Number 1, Overdrawn with Memory Bank.
Why? Okay, so for me, it would have to be number 3 would be I Was Stage Werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 would probably be Space Mutiny. And then would either be Time Chasers or Riding with Death. I don't know either of those two.
Yeah, I Was a Teenage Werewolf was probably my number 5, and Time Chasers is probably number 4.
Yeah.
So that will be my top 5. We have a top 3.
Top 3, because we have top 5.
And basically to sum up our thoughts throughout the episode, which was a bit meandering, but we pulled it off, I think. Yeah. Season 8 was, as I said, experimental. I think it's been unfairly maligned in the fandom, because of all the changes. Because a lot of people don't like season 8 because of the storyline, because of all the cast changes. I do, because I really enjoyed the movies that were riffed. The host segments are great, and it was refreshing. A lot of it was refreshing. Did I miss Trace and
Yeah.
Frank? Yes. But was it terrible without them? No. Not by any sense of the word.
I agree. I definitely agree that it was a good change. Something that just totally occurred to me that we didn't even talk about. We didn't even talk about the switch, just the switch from the Comedy Central network to the Sci-Fi network. We didn't just think about what it was like to go from one network. And I think another thing that was important to remember is a lot of the people that had Sci-Fi Channel did not have Comedy Central. So a lot of people, their first exposure to Mystery Science was probably through the Sci-Fi era.
If not through the movie.
Yeah.
Though, of course, the movie does have the line, "Oh, please let us get Sci-Fi Channel. Please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please."
Yeah.
I always wondered why Sci-Fi Channel never ran the movie.
What was the question?
I always wondered why the Sci-Fi Channel
Sci-Fi-
never ran the Mystery Science Theater movie.
Who would have owned the rights to it? It would have been owned by Universal, which is and a lot of Universal films. I'm sure it had something to do. I'm sure it had something to do with rights and negotiations.
Yeah, but it was owned by Universal, so that was my question.
Well, when was the whole Image Entertainment? Oh, that would have been in 1990 with the whole copyright fiasco. But again, they may not. Universal may not have TV rights. They may have given those to like Paramount or something, and then Paramount would have owned them for 5 years, and then Sci-Fi can't show it because Paramount owns it, and then by the time Paramount loses the rights, suddenly Mystery Science Theater's not on Sci-Fi anymore. Why would they buy it?
That's very true. It's just something I thought would have been interesting, could have been, especially given how long Mystery Science Theater was on TV, even though it wasn't making new episodes. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was on television until 2003. So,
February of 2004 was the last time they showed it.
I thought it was 2003. Well, I was wrong.
I think it was really early in 2004, which is probably why 2003 sounds right.
Mm.
And it was Screaming Skull, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I believe that's about it for our Season 8 discussion.
Yeah.
I thought we did very well.
I think we did good.
Next time on the MSTieCast, I'm excited to announce that we may have a guest star for the first time in a while. Chad Rocco from Familiar Faces, Cheap Damage, and Reviews Are Magic on thatguywiththeglasses.com. Really incredibly funny and talented guy. He's also a fabulous illustrator. You can check out his stuff on chadrocco.deviantart.com. And by the way, check out his avatar on DeviantArt because it is Mystery Science Theater. Great guy. We're going to be trying to talk to him. It might get moved to April because we have something else coming up in March. But we're shooting for the next episode. So if you have questions for Chad, use the Ask feature on Tumblr, send us fan mail, or email us at MSTieCast@yahoo.com. Find us on Twitter @MSTieCast. I think that about sums it up. Have anything you want to say?
Hopefully Mike will be back next week.
Right. Hopefully Mike will be here next time.
And also, if you want to check us out and check out what we're doing, you can check our Facebook pages. They should be available on the Tumblr. Yep. And other than that, I'd say no. I think we got it good.
All right. So,
I'm Joshua M.
And I'm Toby Melbius. This has been the MSTieCast. Play us out, Neil.
He was
It stinks.